Have you ever wondered if you could grow a complete steak dinner in your backyard without a single animal involved? What if I told you that some of the most protein-packed foods on Earth are actually easier to grow than tomatoes, and they've been hiding in plain sight this entire time? Today, we're diving deep into the 10 easiest protein powerhouses you can cultivate right at home. And trust me, number 3 is going to blow your mind because it produces more protein per square foot than any farm animal ever could. Let's be honest here. The grocery bills are getting ridiculous. Meat prices are through the roof. And every time you walk into the store, your wallet gets lighter while your protein options get more expensive. But what if there was another way? What if you could step into your own backyard and harvest enough protein to fuel your entire family without spending hundreds of dollars every month? I've spent the last 2 years experimenting with plant-based protein cultivation, and I've discovered something incredible. These 10 foods are not only packed with complete amino acid profiles, but they're also ridiculously simple to grow. We're talking about crops that practically grow themselves, while delivering protein levels that rival and sometimes exceed traditional animal sources. Before we jump in, let me ask you something. How much are you currently spending on protein every month? Write that number down, because by the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap to cut that cost by at least 70% while eating cleaner, fresher, and more nutritious protein than you've ever had before. Our first protein champion is going to surprise you because most people think of it as a grain. But quinoa is actually a seed, and it's the only plant food that contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs. Growing quinoa is like having a cheat code for nutrition. This ancient superfood delivers 18% protein by weight, which means a single cup gives you 8 grams of complete protein. Here's what makes quinoa incredibly easy to grow. It thrives in poor soil conditions that would kill most other crops. You literally plant it, water it occasionally, and harvest it 4 months later. The plant grows up to 6 feet tall and produces these beautiful, colorful seed heads that look like something from an alien planet. The best part? One packet of seeds costs $3 and produces enough quinoa to last your family months. I remember my first quinoa harvest. I planted just 20 seeds in a corner of my garden that nothing else would grow in. 4 months later, I harvested 12 pounds of quinoa. 12 pounds. That same amount would have cost me over $60 at the grocery store, and mine tasted fresher and nuttier than anything I'd ever bought. The secret to growing quinoa successfully is understanding that it actually prefers neglect. Overwatering kills it faster than drought. Plant the seeds in spring after the last frost. Give them space to grow, and then basically ignore them until harvest time. The plants are self-pollinating, so you don't need to worry about complicated cultivation techniques. Moving to our second protein powerhouse, and this one is going to change everything you think you know about beans. Black turtle beans aren't just easy to grow, they're practically unstoppable. These little nutritional bombs pack 15 grams of protein per cooked cup, and they grow like weeds in almost any climate. What makes black beans incredibly beginner-friendly is their resilience. They fix nitrogen in the soil, which means they actually improve your garden while feeding your family. You can plant them directly in the ground or in containers, and they'll produce for months. A single plant yields about half a pound of dried beans, and you can easily fit 50 plants in a 4x4 foot space. The magic happens when you understand their growth pattern. Black beans are climbing plants, so give them something to climb on, and they'll reward you with continuous harvests. I use simple bamboo teepees, and my plants produce beans from July all the way through the first frost. The economic impact is staggering. A $5 packet of black bean seeds produces enough protein to replace hundreds of dollars worth of meat throughout the growing season. Here's a pro tip that most gardeners miss. Harvest the beans when they're still green for fresh eating, or let them dry on the plant for winter storage. Either way, you're looking at complete protein that stores for years without refrigeration. Try doing that with a chicken breast. Our third protein source is where things get really exciting. And I wasn't kidding when I said this would blow your mind. Amaranth produces more protein per square foot than any traditional protein source, plant or animal. We're talking about 14 to 18% protein content with a complete amino acid profile that rivals eggs. Amaranth is essentially a protein factory that you can grow in your backyard. The plants grow up to 8 feet tall and produce massive seed heads that can contain up to 60,000 tiny seeds each. Those seeds are pure nutritional gold, packed with protein, fiber, and minerals that most people are severely lacking in their diets. What makes amaranth absolutely foolproof to grow is its aggressive nature. This plant wants to survive and produce seeds no matter what you throw at it. Drought, poor soil, extreme heat. Amaranth just keeps growing and producing. I've seen these plants thrive in abandoned lots where nothing else would grow. The harvest is where amaranth becomes truly magical. Those massive seed heads can be dried and stored for years, providing a constant supply of fresh protein whenever you need it. You can grind the seeds into flour, pop them like popcorn, or cook them like rice. The versatility is incredible, and the protein content remains consistently high, no matter how you prepare it. I'll never forget the first time I calculated the protein yield from my amaranth patch. 20 plants produced 47 pounds of seeds, containing over 8 pounds of pure protein. That's equivalent to about 32 pounds of lean ground beef, grown in just 100 square feet of garden space. Number 4 takes us into the world of peas, but not just any peas. Field peas, also known as cowpeas or black-eyed peas, are protein-producing machines that actually prefer hot weather when most other crops are struggling. These incredible legumes deliver 13 grams of protein per cooked cup and contain high levels of lysine, an amino acid that's often missing from plant-based diets. Field peas are ridiculously easy to grow because they're essentially weeds that happen to produce nutritious food. You scatter the seeds directly on the ground in late spring, and they'll germinate and grow in almost any condition. They're drought-tolerant, heat-loving, and they actually improve soil quality by fixing atmospheric nitrogen. The beauty of field peas lies in their dual-purpose nature. You can harvest the young pods and eat them fresh like snow peas, or let them mature and dry for a protein-rich storage crop. A single plant produces about a quarter pound of dried peas, and you can easily grow 200 plants in a small garden space. What really sets field peas apart is their continuous production. Unlike bush beans that produce all at once, field peas keep flowering and producing pods for months. This means you have a steady supply of fresh protein throughout the entire growing season, with bonus dried peas for winter storage. Our fifth protein champion brings us to something most people have never heard of. But once you try growing it, you'll wonder why it's not in every garden. Tepary beans are desert-adapted protein powerhouses that produce 23 grams of protein per cooked cup. Yes, you heard that right. 23 grams. That's more protein than most meat sources. Tepary beans are the ultimate survival crop. They've been sustaining indigenous populations in the American Southwest for thousands of years, and they do it by thriving in conditions that would kill almost any other food plant. We're talking about plants that produce protein-rich harvests with less than 10 inches of rainfall per year. Growing tepary beans is like having an insurance policy against food insecurity. You plant them once, and they'll often reseed themselves year after year. The plants are small and compact, making them perfect for container growing or small spaces. A 5-gallon bucket can produce several pounds of these protein-packed beans. The flavor profile is incredible too. Tepary beans have a rich, nutty taste that's far superior to regular beans, and they cook faster and hold their shape better in soups and stews. From a nutritional standpoint, they're complete proteins with exceptionally high levels of fiber and minerals. I discovered tepary beans during a particularly dry summer when everything else in my garden was struggling. These little plants not only survived, they thrived. producing beautiful purple and white speckled beans that stored perfectly through winter. That harvest got me through some tight financial months when grocery money was scarce. Moving to number 6, and we're entering the world of ancient grains with millet. This incredibly hardy grass produces seeds that are 22% protein and contain all the essential amino acids your body needs. Millet is essentially a complete protein source that grows like a weed and produces massive harvests with minimal effort. What makes millet absolutely perfect for home cultivation is its adaptability. It grows in poor soil, tolerates drought better than corn, and matures in just 75 days. You can plant millet in spring and be harvesting protein-rich seeds by midsummer. The plants look like ornamental grasses, so they actually improve the appearance of your garden while producing food. The productivity of millet is staggering. A single plant can produce over 3,000 seeds, and you can easily fit dozens of plants in a small space. The seeds store for years without special treatment, giving you a reliable protein source that doesn't require refrigeration or special handling. Millet seeds are incredibly versatile. You can cook them like rice, grind them into flour, or even pop them like popcorn. The protein content remains high regardless of preparation method, making millet one of the most valuable crops you can grow for long-term food security. Our 7th protein source takes us back to beans. But these aren't ordinary beans. Lima beans, particularly the large varieties, are protein factories that produce some of the largest, most protein-dense legumes you can grow at home. We're talking about beans that deliver 15 grams of protein per cooked cup, along with high levels of fiber and folate. Lima beans are climbing champions that can produce for months, given the right support structure. What makes them incredibly easy to grow is their forgiving nature. They tolerate a wide range of soil conditions and continue producing even when other crops are shutting down due to heat stress. The large flat beans are easy to shell and process, making harvest a simple task. The storage life of lima beans is exceptional. Properly dried lima beans maintain their nutritional value and germination ability for up to 10 years. This means a single good harvest can provide protein security for nearly a decade. From an economic standpoint, lima beans represent one of the best investments you can make in food production. I remember being amazed the first time I grew large lima beans. Each plant produced over 2 pounds of fresh beans, and when dried, those beans contained enough protein to replace dozens of expensive meals. The plants climbed 12 feet high and continued producing until the first hard frost. Number 8 brings us to something that most people think of as a grain. But buckwheat is actually a fruit seed that's completely unrelated to wheat despite its name. Buckwheat delivers 13 grams of high-quality protein per cooked cup and contains all 8 essential amino acids, making it another complete protein source. Buckwheat is possibly the easiest crop on our entire list to grow successfully. It germinates quickly, grows rapidly, and produces a harvest in just 10 weeks from planting. The plants are incredibly dense with small heart-shaped leaves and clusters of fragrant white flowers that bees absolutely love. You're essentially growing a protein source and supporting pollinators at the same time. What makes buckwheat special is its ability to grow in marginal soil conditions where other crops fail. It's often used as a cover crop because it improves soil structure and suppresses weeds. For the home grower, this means you can plant buckwheat in areas of your yard that aren't suitable for vegetables and still harvest a valuable protein crop. The triangular seeds are easy to harvest and process. You can eat them whole like rice, grind them into flour for pancakes and bread, or sprout them for fresh greens. The protein quality is exceptional, with a biological value that's comparable to eggs and superior to most other plant proteins. Our 9th protein champion is going to surprise a lot of people because most Americans have never tasted it. But teff is an ancient grain that's been sustaining populations in Ethiopia for thousands of years. These tiny seeds pack an incredible protein punch at 14% protein by weight, and they grow in conditions that would challenge most other crops. Teff plants look like ornamental grasses and produce incredibly dense seed heads packed with thousands of tiny grains. What makes teff remarkable is that those tiny seeds contain complete proteins with exceptional amino acid profiles. We're talking about a crop that can grow in poor soil, tolerate drought, and still produce massive amounts of high-quality protein. The ease of cultivation is what makes teff perfect for backyard protein production. You broadcast the seeds like you're planting grass. Keep them moderately moist until germination, and then watch them grow with minimal intervention. The plants are self-pollinating and produce mature seeds in just 12 weeks. Teff seeds are incredibly nutritious beyond just their protein content. They're loaded with iron, calcium, and fiber, making them one of the most complete foods you can grow. The seeds have a mild, nutty flavor that works well in both sweet and savory dishes. You can cook them like porridge, grind them into flour, or use them as a substitute for rice or quinoa. Finally, we reach our 10th and final protein powerhouse, and I've saved one of the most impressive for last. Soybeans aren't just easy to grow. They're probably the most protein-dense crop you can cultivate at home. We're talking about 36 grams of complete protein per cooked cup. That's more protein than most people get from meat in a single serving. Soybeans are incredibly straightforward to grow because they're essentially bush plants that produce pods packed with protein-rich beans. They fix nitrogen in the soil like other legumes, but soybeans are particularly efficient at this process. You can plant them in spring, provide basic care, and harvest pounds of protein-rich beans by fall. What makes soybeans exceptional is their versatility. You can eat them fresh as edamame, dry them for storage, or process them into tofu, tempeh, or soy milk. Each preparation method maintains the high protein content while offering different flavors and textures. From a single soybean harvest, you can create enough protein variety to last months. The productivity of soybeans is remarkable. A single plant produces between 1 and 4 ounces of dried beans, and you can easily grow 50 plants in a small garden space. Those 50 plants can yield enough soybeans to provide complete protein for one person for several months. I'll never forget my first serious soybean harvest. 30 plants produced 12 pounds of dried soybeans containing over 4 pounds of pure protein. That harvest replaced hundreds of dollars worth of meat purchases and provided ingredients for making fresh tofu and tempeh throughout winter. Now let's talk about the bigger picture here. Growing your own protein isn't just about saving money. Although the financial benefits are incredible, it's about food security, knowing exactly what goes into your food, and building resilience in an uncertain world. When you can walk into your backyard and harvest complete proteins, you're no longer dependent on supply chains, price fluctuations, or corporate food systems. The environmental impact is staggering too. Growing plant proteins uses a fraction of the water, land, and energy required to produce animal proteins. You're not just feeding your family more affordably, you're doing it in a way that supports rather than degrades the environment. Here's something most people don't realize. All 10 of these crops can be grown together in a rotation system that actually improves your soil year after year. The nitrogen-fixing legumes feed the grains. The grains provide structure for climbing beans, and the diverse root systems create healthy soil ecology that supports everything. Start small with just 2 or 3 of these crops this growing season. Choose the ones that excite you most or match your climate conditions best. As you gain confidence and experience, expand your protein garden until you're growing enough to significantly impact your grocery budget and food security. The key to success is understanding that these aren't delicate specialty crops. They're hardy, productive plants that have been feeding humans for thousands of years. They want to grow and produce protein. Your job is simply to give them a chance and basic care. Remember, every single one of these protein sources can be stored for years without refrigeration. You're not just growing food for this season, You're building a protein stockpile that provides security and savings for years to come. Compare that to buying meat that spoils in days and costs more every month. If this information has opened your eyes to the possibilities of growing your own protein, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm constantly experimenting with new protein crops and sharing the results with this community. Next week, we're diving deep into advanced protein preservation techniques that will help you store your harvests for maximum shelf life and nutritional retention. In the comments below, let me know which of these 10 protein crops you're most excited to try growing. Are you drawn to the complete amino acid profile of quinoa, the incredible productivity of amaranth, or maybe the drought tolerance of tepary beans? Your questions and experiences help build this community of self-sufficient food producers. The journey to protein independence starts with a single seed. Plant that first seed, watch it grow into pounds of nutritious food, and you'll never look at grocery store protein prices the same way again. This isn't just gardening, it's revolution disguised as weekend hobby. These 10 crops have the power to transform not just your diet and budget, but your entire relationship with food, security, and self-reliance.